Welcome friend. Today I am going to discuss about Old English literature. This is not that much important for UGC NET exam, but still we should read this in order to know properly about the beginning of the literature. So Old English period begins in the 5th century. Most important event of this period is Norman conquest, which was happened in 1066. This year is very important, and we should mark this off that 1066 is famous for Norman conquest. The Germanic peoples known as the Angles, the Saxons and Jute. These three tribes, number 1 Angles, number 2 Saxons, number 3 Jutes. Angles, Saxon, Jutes. These three tribes were the main inhabitants of Anglo-Saxon period who had successfully invaded Roman colony of Britain in the 5th and 6th centuries, brought with them their language, their paganism, and their distinctive warrior tradition. The process of re-Christianization began in the late 6th century. The missionary work was undertaken in the north and in Scotland by Celtic monks, but in the south the mission was entrusted to a group of Benedictines sent from Rome in AD 596 by Pope Gregory the Great. It is certain that only a portion of Old English poetry has survived. The manuscripts in which the poetry is preserved are late in date, are unique, and are four in numbers. They are: number one, most important is Beowulf manuscript. It contains Beowulf and Judith. And the second one is the Junius manuscript. It is called so because it belongs to Junius and was first printed by him in 1655. It contains the so-called Cadmonian poems. And the third one is the Exeter book, containing two of the signed poems of Ceneulf. And the last one, Vercelli book, containing also two of the signed poems of Ceneulf, including Elene and Andreas and Dream of the Rood. This is very important for UGC NET because in a year question came that what is the meaning of rood. So here the meaning of rood is cross of Jesus Christ. The dream of the rood means someone is saying the dream of the cross of Jesus Christ. There were four main dialects: Northumbrian, which was the first to produce a literature; Mercian, the language of Midlands; Kentish, the language of the southeast spoken in an area larger than that of the modern county of Kent; and West Saxon, the language of Alfred, which, due to the political supremacy of Wessex, became a standard and in which almost all the extant texts are preserved. Now we will move to the section of Old English poetry, and here in this portion the most important thing is that Beowulf is the most important Anglo-Saxon poetry. Beowulf tells the story of a warrior named Beowulf. Beowulf comes to the aid of King Hrothgar, whose kingdom is being terrorized by a monster named Grendel. The courageous Beowulf uses his epic strength to kill Grendel and then slays Grendel's vengeful mother before returning home to Great Land. Beowulf later becomes the king of the Geats and rules for a peaceful 50 years. When a dragon begins to pose a threat to Great Land, Beowulf and his servant Wiglaf set off to defeat it. Beowulf succeeds in slaying the dragon but dies in the process. The next poem is Woodsith. The word Woodsith in English means the far traveler. Woodsith, usually considered to be the oldest poem in the language, it consists of nearly 150 lines of verse in which a traveler, more imaginary than real, recounts the places and illustrious people he has visited. The poem is of special importance from a historical point of view, but poetically it is of little merit. The next poem is Waldeer, which consists of two fragments, some 63 lines in all, telling of some of the exploits of Waldeer of acquaintance. The work has vigor and power, and it is to be greatly regretted that so little is preserved. It might well have been one of the finest of narrative pieces. The next poem is The Fight at Finnsburg. It is a fragment of some 48 lines with a finely told description of the fighting at Finnsburg, allusion to which is made in the Finn episode in Beowulf. The next poem is The Battle of Brunanburg, which is a spirited piece on the famous battle which took place in 937. The next poem is The Battle of Maldon, which describes the battle which took place in 993, with emphasis on individual deeds of valor and on the feelings of the warrior. And some few elegies are The Wanderer, The Seafarer, Wife's Lament, and Husband's Message, which appears in the Exeter books. Four poems contains the signature of Ceneulf in runic characters. These four poems are Juliana, Ellen, Christ, and the Fate of Apostles. Now we will move to the section of Old English prose. Alfred is known as the father of English prose. His five important translations are The Pastoral Care of Pope Gregory. Second one is The History of the World of Orosius. The third one is Bede's Ecclesiastical History. Fourth one, Boethius' Consolation of Philosophy. And the last one is Soliloquies of Saint Augustine. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle was also inspired by Alfred. The next important prose writer is Bede, who had written his great Historia Ecclesiastica Gentis Anglorum. In English, the Ecclesiastical History of the English People in 731. And the next important prose writer is Alfric, who is famous for his Catholic homilies and lives of the saints. So this is all about Anglo-Saxon period. I hope you will be able to collect some important information from this age, and please try to mark up those important points which are very important for UGC NET exam. Thank you. Please like, subscribe and share, and follow this channel to know more about literature, to know more about UGC NET exam.